All right, so once more, hello, and thank you for spending some time today with us. Our webinars are interactive, and you can expect active learning since that type of learning, especially in online format, is the best way to acquire knowledge and new skills. So you can ask questions during our session. Feel free to write them in chat. We will answer them immediately. Of course, you are also invited to write your comments, suggestions, ideas, and that way you are also engaging yourself in successful acquiring today's training content. Today, you will discover how game design, cultural heritage, and AI tools can transform learning into an immersive creative experience. But I leave that and I leave you to our educator, Gordan, who is going to show and explain to you all these amazingly engaging teaching and learning opportunities. Okay, Gordan, I'm going to hand a hosting role to you right now. Just a second. Okay, yeah.
Okay, here we are. Hello, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for being here today and joining this webinar. Hopefully, you're not too tired. I'm sure it's been a busy day for all of you, but we're going to try and keep it brief and concise. So let's continue. This webinar introduces the Erasmus course, Level Up Heritage in Play. It's a 6-day professional training program that's focused on game-based learning, cultural heritage education, and AI-supported 3D game design. But before we go any further, I want to make one thing very clear. No prior game development or programming experience is required. So this course is not about turning you teachers or educators into programmers or game developers. It's not about making entertainment games for school. And it's not about replacing pedagogical act with technology. It's about designing learning experiences that feel meaningful, engaging, and memorable. We want to turn learning into an experience and connect cross-curricular activities. So, for our subject for today and the course, we have chosen cultural heritage. It's a living organism that nurtures us all and provides us a way of looking forward by examining past, its significance and infinite relevance. And at the moment, I'd like to invite you to temporarily step out of your usual role as teacher or educator and step into a different role, the role of a player. Not a gamer in the entertainment sense, but a player in the learning sense. Someone who explores, experiments, makes mistakes, retries, and gradually understands how a system works. Because today's topic, it's not something that can be only understood only intellectually, it has to be felt. And it has to be felt through interaction. It's the only way. So our guiding question for this webinar is simple. Why do games engage people so deeply, and what can education learn from that?
Sorry, Gordan, I'm not quite sure if we see your screen because, I don't know, I'm just seeing that the cover of our presentation.
Yes, it's okay.
Yeah, okay, all right, okay.
No worries.
Sorry.
It's all coming.
Okay, pretty soon.
No worries. So, why do games engage people so deeply, and what can education learn from that? And just as importantly, how can we transfer these principles into classrooms without turning education into shallow entertainment? The key is interactive educational spaces, where learning happens through interaction. A classroom can be such a space, or in our case, a museum. So you, as a participant, would not simply learn about game-based learning. You would experience it from the inside. Throughout this course, educators, you teachers are going to be positioned as learners, explorers, and designers. So I repeat, no prior experience with game engines, 3D modeling, or AI tools is required. Too often, innovative methodologies remain locked behind technical barriers. So this course actively removes those barriers and replaces them with guided creativity. We're going to explore, experiment, prototype, reflect, and iterate. Learning happens through making, and we're going to create a playable educational game, prototype, and a reusable teaching framework. So, are we on another slide? Yeah?
Yeah, surely. Now we see.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So it works, everything works. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm just going to present myself briefly. This is me, by the way. I'm a multidisciplinary media designer and the creator of interactive virtual projects and spaces. I have over 20 years of experience in the graphic design, film, video, and all graphical interactive experiences on many platforms such as virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. And for the last 3 years, I'm working as a 3D, XR, and game design educator in Regional Science Center Adriatic in Split, Croatia. We're based, and this Regional Science Center Adriatic for the moment is going to be the place and location of our course. So, what this webinar is about? Just briefly, as I explained. So, how games naturally support learning, how can cultural heritage act as both content and narrative, and how 3D space communicates meaning, and game engine is a creative platform that can be used safely by beginners to make projects. Creative media and AI reduces barriers, and universal design for learning ties everything together. And I repeat, no coding is required. You don't have to have any previous experience, and no tech barriers. So this is time for a small interaction that is going to be dispersed throughout this course and webinar, just to keep you on your toes a bit, so we can interact, because this is the whole meaning of this webinar and the course as well. So I'm going to pose you. I would like really like your opinion on this, and to share your experience. So imagine you are not a teacher right now. You are a student. What would make you curious enough to explore as a lesson without being told what to learn? So let's continue. So what is this theory of fun? Let us start with the fundamental question. Why games? Games where learning happens voluntarily struggle, fail, repeat, and experiment. And players do this willingly. When we talk about fun in games, we're not talking about jokes, colors, or rewards. But what exactly is this feeling we call fun, and where does it come from? This question once came up for author and game designer Ralph Koster during a conversation with his grandfather, who wondered if making games was a truly valuable way to spend one's life. Koster's answer formed the emotional core of his classic book, A Theory of Fun for Game Design, and says, I connect people and I teach people. And his evidence came from watching his own children playing a simple game of tic-tac-toe on the floor. He saw a serious intent in their gaze, a seriousness in their play, that revealed the central thesis of his work, that fun is another word for learning. For them, it wasn't just a diversion, it was a process of discovery. And this guide will unpack Koster's theory, exploring the idea that the joy we get from the games is the brain's built-in reward for mastering new patterns. So in game design theory, fun is deeply connected to learning. And one of the most widely accepted ideas in game design is this: fun is the emotional response to learning and mastering patterns. And this definition is crucial for educators. It tells us that fun is not the opposite of learning. It's feeling of learning happening. So when students recognize patterns, understand systems, and realize, I get this now, the emotion attached to that moment is what games call fun. So when players play a game, they are constantly doing the following. They are observing the system, so observing the world around them, in front of them and the one that surrounds them. They are forming ideas about this world, the hypotheses and the rules. They are trying to observe the rules, what they have to do. When they figure out something, they are testing their beliefs and opinions through actions. When they do perform these actions, they are receiving immediate feedback. So it's bad or good, retry or continue. And so in that light, they are adjusting their understanding. In other words, they are learning. Fun happens when the challenge is balanced with the player's skill, not too easy and not too hard. This balance is often described as flow state. Flow state is the most important thing in all modern games, because without flow state, there is no success in the game. In education, this balance is often broken in two ways. We overload students with complexity before meaning, and we oversimplify content, on the other hand, until it becomes boring. So it's one or the other. It's anxiety or boredom. Games, on the other hand, are masters of this progressive complexity. They are structured learning environments, and they introduce complexity gradually. They allow repetition without shame or judgment, and they make progress visible. And just a brief theoretical part about engagement in games and how these principles and parameters converge into education, so that you can make educational transfer. Let's break down these elements. First, clear goals. In games, players always know what they are trying to do. The goal may evolve, but it is always understandable. In classrooms, goals are often hidden behind content and activities. So these learning goals should be visible, meaningful, and framed as challenges, so that students can understand and care about them. Second one, the immediate feedback. Games respond instantly to player actions. Success and failure are both informative. In education, feedback is often delayed, abstract, or let's face it, even judgmental. So the feedback should guide improvement, not evaluate worth. Choice and agency. Players choose paths, strategies, and approaches. This creates ownership. That forms identity. In traditional classrooms, choice is often minimal. So we have to provide multiple ways to engage, explore, and demonstrate learning. This converges easily into our next subject, which should be universal design of learning, but let's continue for now. Fourth, it's a safe failure. Failure in games is expected and reversible. It's part of the learning loop. In schools, failure is often final and stigmatized. So we have to design tasks where mistakes are steps, not endpoints. And the last, meaningful context. The games wrap challenges in stories, worlds, and systems. Learning is situated. What do we do about it? We have to contextualize learning inside narratives, problems, or environments. We have to teach content inside problems, stories, or spaces. So it's time for another brief interaction. We would like your opinion about it. I'm just going to read it a second. Describe when you had most fun while learning something and what made it engaging. So now, we are trying to connect game design as learning to a UDL approach. UDL, as I said before, it's universal design of learning. So a crucial question emerges. Is game-based learning inclusive? Does this work for all the students or only the confident ones? This brings us to the universal design of learning. This is an educational framework, and that was inspired by the universal design movement created in architecture and product development. And it was their whole insight was the design of products and environments has to be usable by all people to the greatest extent possible without the need for adaptation or specialized design. So UDL applies this general idea to learning. The fundamental insight of UDL is this: variability is the norm and is normal, not the exception. There is no such thing as an average learner. Every student has different strengths, challenges, backgrounds, interests, and different ways of engaging with content. So students learn in different ways. UDL is built on three core principles. Engagement, multiple means of engagement, action and expression, and representation. Engagement is why of learning. So we have to tap into learners' interests, challenge them appropriately, and motivate them to learn. Representation is what of learning. We have to give learners various ways of acquiring information and knowledge. And action and expression is how of learning. We have to provide learners alternatives for demonstrating what they know. Games already support and implement these UDL principles intuitively. So we're just going to break it down quickly. Engagement. Games motivate through curiosity, challenge, and autonomy. They offer choice and autonomy, optimal challenge, clear feedback, and progress tracking. Representation. Information in games is presented in all of the ways, in visually, audibly, spatially, and interactively, or as kinesthetic information. As a multiple means of action expression, players demonstrate understanding through actions, not just words. There are multiple pathways to success, different strategies, play styles, and solutions to challenges. So this is why game-based learning is not just engaging, it is inclusive. Games do not engage learners because they are games. They engage learners because they are well-designed learning systems. Game-based learning is not about making school easier, it's about making learning deeper, more meaningful, and more human. Universal design for learning ensures that this engagement is not exclusive but accessible. Together, these frameworks invite us to redesign education not as delivery but as experience. And as a conclusion for this theoretical part, for the beginning, we have to ask why games. And responses are: games create intrinsic motivation through clear goals, meaningful challenge, and visible progress. They require players to gather information, discover patterns, and build knowledge through experience. Require players planning, problem-solving, and strategic thinking. Our goal and goals as educators is we have to make students develop their own capacity to learn, adapt, and solve novel problems. Time for another quick interaction, if anybody's willing. Starting from today, what part of teaching would you immediately turn into a learning game? The challenge here is same learning outcome, but different path to it. We would love to hear your opinion about this. Okay, so we are passing to our subject of the day and of the course. It's cultural heritage that can be viewed as a learning resource and a narrative medium. The cultural heritage, as a historical one, represents the whole accumulated wisdom, practices, stories, artifacts, and traditions passed down through generations. It's a dynamic learning resources and powerful narrative mediums that shape how communities understand themselves, transmit knowledge, and construct meaning. When we view cultural heritage through educational and narrative lenses, we discover that human beings have always been storytelling teachers, using the resources of their culture, oral traditions, material objects, rituals, places, and practices to educate, inspire, and connect across time. So, monuments, artifacts, paintings, ruins, museums. In education, heritage is frequently treated as content, something to be described, explained, and remembered. But it's not only a story that is told to students, but a story that unfolds around them. It's a narrative medium. It unfolds through space, interaction, and discovery. So it's one of the richest learning resources we have because it is multidisciplinary, authentic, and situated in real places, and offers real human experience. So naturally connects history, geography, art, technology, ethics, identity, and social systems. Yet in classrooms, we often flatten it. We turn complex places into single images, and we turn lived spaces into paragraphs of text.
Sorry, Gordan, just, previously that slide, please, can you turn it back, that photo, Gordan, was taken where? Can you just say just a few sentences about that photo?
Yeah, this is Paris. This is inside of Diocletian's palace. It's a main square where he used to have his speeches just behind these two gladiators. No gladiators, the legionnaires.
Yes, that's
and
right.
It's the most famous square in Split. It's full of tourists and full of meaning. We have a bell tower here that's set to St. Domnius, I think, yeah. It's a center of our town, and when you visit Split, it's an unmissable place and a starting point from the whole historical sites.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's beautiful. So you see it like this, flattened, the way we see. You see it flat. It's interesting, but when you come here, you experience it from your personally, it's a whole different knowledge and problem.
Okay, thank you, Gordan.
So when we flatten these experiences into paragraphs of text and images, we lose the greatest educational power of heritage, its ability to be explored. So think of a historical site. It's not just one thing. It's a system of spaces, functions, power relations, social practices, materials, beliefs, and the daily routines. Games are excellent at teaching these systems. This is why heritage and game-based learning fit together naturally. In traditional education, heritage is often narrated to students, teacher tells a story, the textbook tells a story. But games use a different narrative model. In games, story is rarely discovered all at once. Instead, it's discovered and pieced together, inferred from the environment, so you're learning from visual cues of everything that brings you, the contrast, size, light, and everything, and it's revealed the meaning through interaction. And this is called environmental storytelling. Cultural heritage is already designed this way. We just don't usually teach it that way. And space is a narrative. In heritage spaces, narratives is embedded in the architecture, scale, materials, pathways, visibility, access and restriction. A narrow corridor tells a different story than a wide square. A high wall tells a different story than an open gate. So students don't need to be told what this means. They can experience it. And this is why heritage works so well as a narrative medium. The story is not linear, it's spatial. It works emotionally. It connects three powerful dimensions. Place, where learning is anchored in space. Human presence, so someone lived there, worked and struggled there. And continuity, because the past is not abstract, it's still present and it's in its remnants and survived customs. Games thrive on exactly these dimensions. They create a sense of presence, emotional connections and identity, and the personal meaning. So in this way, the teacher's role shifts. You are no longer only the narrator of history, you become a designer of learning spaces, a curator of experiences, and a guide for interpretation. So in the conclusion of this part, cultural heritage is not just something we teach about, it's something we can teach through. As a learning resource, it offers complexity, authenticity, and connection. As a narrative medium, it offers space, story, and meaning. When combined with game-based learning, heritage becomes explorable, interactive, emotionally engaging, inclusive, and most importantly, memorable. Time for another one of our questions. What part of your cultural heritage made the biggest emotional impact on you? Note on this, it has to be experienced in person. So now we're coming to this part, visual communication and spatial design in 3D learning environments. When we talk about 3D environments in education, the conversation often goes directly to technology, software, tools, hardware, platforms. But before we talk about any of that, we need to talk about something more fundamental, how humans understand space visually. Because in these learning environments, space itself communicates. The learner, the student, the teacher, whoever, is already receiving information. And that information is visual, spatial, and often subconscious. But visual communication is not only aesthetics or decoration. In education, visual design is often treated as decoration, something we add after content is prepared. But in visual communication, form is not separate from meaning. So these visual elements communicate hierarchy, importance, relationships between objects, direction, focus, and emotion. Embedded in 2D or flat design. In a 3D environment, this effect is amplified. It has a true depth. It has another axis. Games teach without explaining. They rarely explain everything in text. Almost nothing is explained in text. Players learn how to read a space. They have these elements or parameters: size, distance, light, color, texture, and movement. They all send messages and create meaning and emotion. And this is called visual literacy. In educational 3D environments, students do the same, whether we design for it or not. They don't ask, what does this design mean? They feel it. So instead, games teach players through visual cues. That light draws attention, contrast signals importance, pathways guide movement, blocked spaces indicate limits and barriers, and open space invite to exploration. Space is not neutral. Spatial design is a pedagogical act. Space is never neutral. Every spatial decision influences learning behavior. So like wayfinding systems embedded in real world, like subways, bus stations, or train stations, they all guide us through our way. Schools, or all these graphical systems. So spatial design determines how learners move, where they stop, what they notice, and what they ignore. Poor spatial design creates confusion. and increases cognitive load. When students are disoriented, they stop learning and start coping, and anxiety kicks in. So they're completely out of the flow state, let's say. Good spatial design reduces these unnecessary choices, creates orientation and progression, provides landmarks, and supports orientation. In games, this is essential. In learning environments, it's critical. So learning through movement, 3D space becomes a communication medium. Learners understand by moving, turning, approaching, distancing themselves, looking up and down. This movement creates meaning and develops instincts and reflexes. Spatial storytelling is a way of telling a story without words, and the sequence matters here. What learners see first sets expectations. What is hidden creates curiosity. What is revealed creates understanding. So students don't just learn about systems, they move through them. And one important note for educators: you are designing for understanding, not impressing. In the education, the 3D design of environments should not be about photorealism. It is about clarity of your vision of design and of meaning. A simple, readable space is more effective than a complex and impressive one. Teachers don't need to be artists if they don't want to. They need to be intentional designers. So, key messages. When visual communication and spatial design are intentional, learning becomes clearer, deeper, and more accessible. Technology enables this, but only the design makes it work, and movement creates meaning. Time for our little interaction.
Yes.
Think of something you think it's difficult to explain just in words, but visually and spatially you could. All right, let's talk about the heart of what we're doing here, Unreal Engine 5. Now, this isn't just any software. This is the same engine that powers some of the most stunning games and films you've ever seen. It's a real-time 3D interactive learning environment that brings ideas to life. And the best part is, it's completely free to use. Yes, free. The same professional tools that major studios use for million-dollar productions are available to students and educators at no cost. It's industry-grade, which means it's powerful and robust, but also incredibly scalable. Whether you're working on a simple interactive scene or a complex simulation, Unreal Engine scales to meet your needs. And thanks to its visual logic system called Blueprints, you don't need to be a coding wizard to create amazing things. You can literally see your logic flow and connect nodes visually. It's like building with Lego blocks, but for creating interactive experiences. Of course, you'll hear the skeptics say things like, oh, it's too technical, or that's for programmers, or my personal favorite, is for the gaming industry, not schools. But here's what I want you to know. That is outdated thinking. That's the old way of looking at these tools, and we're here to show you a completely different reality. Because today, Unreal Engine has broken out of the gaming box entirely. We're seeing it revolutionize fields across the board. Scientists are using it to visualize complex data. Researchers are building simulations that would be impossible in the real world. Media companies are using it for virtual production. First thing that comes to mind is like how they filmed the Mandalorian series with those incredible LED backgrounds. But it's widely used by indie movie makers all around the world, and we are going to use it here and on our other educational projects, such as Learning Channel Project, designing interactive educational multimedia channel, and Future Classroom. But also, architects are walking clients through buildings before a single brick is laid. Artists are creating immersive installations. Educators are building entire virtual campuses. Designers are prototyping products in ways that save time and money. We're taking lessons, traditional textbook-based lessons, and transforming them into experiences. Imagine teaching history by letting students walk through ancient Rome. Teaching biology by shrinking them down to explore the inside of a cell. Teaching physics by letting them manipulate gravity and see what happens. We're not just teaching students, we're turning them into explorers, into creators, into problem solvers. And the beauty of it, everything happens in one environment. No switching between 10 different programs, no compatibility issues. It's all unified, all seamless. Now, I would like to just mention career opportunities, because this is where things get really exciting. When people hear game design, they often think one of two roles. But the reality, this industry is absolutely massive and incredibly diverse. You've got creative roles like game designers who create and craft the core experience, level designers who build the worlds you explore, narrative designers, writers, they put together the stories that make you care, sound designers that create the audio landscape. Then you got artists, character, environment artists that create the characters and the worlds, and animators that make everything move. Then there's the technical side, with user interface and user experience designers making interfaces intuitive, and yes, programmers, gameplay, engine and tools programmers who build the systems everything runs on. And beyond the creation itself, there are project managers keeping everything on track, marketing, community managers, quality assurance testers, etc. I could keep going on and on, but the point is, whatever your strength, whatever your passion is, whether it's art, technology, storytelling, music, management, communication, whatever, there's a place for you in this industry, and many, many roles we haven't even mentioned. Now, I want to address something important: creative media and AI tools. There's a lot of anxiety around this topic, and I get it, but I want to reframe how we think about this. AI is a help, not a replacement. It's a tool that amplifies your creativity, not something that replaces it. Think about it this way. AI lets us prototype ideas at lightning speed. Got a concept? Test it out immediately. Want to visualize something early in the process before investing hours of work? AI can help you see it. Want to iterate without fear of wasting time? Go ahead, experiment freely. If you need assets quickly for a proof of concept, AI can generate them. If you're working on storytelling and hit a creative block, AI can act as a co-writer of possibilities, suggesting directions you might not have considered. The key word here is a co-writer. You're still the director. You're still the creative force. AI is like having a tireless assistant who can quickly sketch out ideas, but you're the one with the vision, the taste, the human understanding of what works and what doesn't. That's something AI can't replace. Finally, let's talk about our creative toolkit, the actual tools we'll be working with to bring all of this together. For narrative ideation, for those brainstorming sessions when you're crafting stories and dialogue, we use ChatGPT and Claude mainly. These AI tools help us explore narrative possibilities, they develop character voices, and work through plot challenges. For visual design, where we need to create concept art, UI mockups, or any visual elements, we turn to Nano Banana and Canva. These let us quickly visualize ideas and create polished graphics. For 3D scanning, because sometimes the best way to get realistic assets is to capture them directly from the real world, we use applications like Reality Scan from Epic Games and Polycan. You just need to point your phone at something and you can bring it into your virtual world. Then, for 3D assets, the models, the textures, and materials that populate our environments, we use Sketchfab and Quixel. But I forgot to put it here, they are all now part of Fab, Epic Games Marketplace, which has a huge offer of all kinds of assets, static or interactive, and many of them free. Check it out on the fab.com. Quixel especially has this massive library of photorealistic assets that can make your scenes look absolutely stunning. Then for audio production, because sound is half the experience, we use Audacity for editing and Suno Music for generating musical elements. But also, you can use whatever you're comfortable with, even your own tools of choice if you already have them. These tools aren't isolated islands. They work together, they complement each other, and they support every stage of the creative process from initial concept to final polish. They are all either free or with educational licenses or with robust free versions. So we're removing the financial barriers to creativity. So now, let's bring it all together and talk about what this actually looks like in practice. We're moving from theory to practice by designing a playable 3D museum experience for learning. Think about that for a moment. Not a slideshow about a museum, not a video tour, but an actual space students can walk through, interact with, and explore. This is built on a learning framework that's adaptable to any subject. Want to teach ancient history? Build a museum of ancient civilizations. You're teaching biology? Create a museum of natural history where students can examine specimens up close. This framework is transferable to students too. Once they understand how it works, they can build their own learning experiences. Crucial point is that this is not a complex game. It's not a technical project that requires years of knowledge and programming experience. It's a playable learning experience. something students can explore, something teachers can adapt to their needs, something that works even with very simple mechanics. We're keeping the barrier to entry low while keeping the learning impact high. Another very important thing, educational 3D games do not need complex mechanics. They don't need elaborate scoring systems or competition between players. No need for technical complexity for the sake of complexity. If you strip all that away, what does it actually need? It needs meaningful space, environments that serve a learning purpose where every room, every object, every detail supports the educational goal. It needs purposeful interaction, not just clicking randomly, but interactions that deepen understanding. When a student picks up an artifact, they should learn something. When they open a door, it should lead somewhere meaningful. It needs clear learning goals. Students should know what they're exploring and why it matters. The experience should have intention behind it. And it needs a room for exploration, the freedom to discover, to be curious, to make connections on their own. That's where the magic happens. That's where learning becomes memorable. We're not trying to compete with, Call of Duty here. We're creating something fundamentally different, and that's our strength. Now it's time for our final interaction, and this is the last thing I want you to think about. If you and your students built a 3D learning space, what story would it tell? Let's talk about the actual game mechanics we're working with. These are simple, intuitive interactions that anyone can understand. First, open doors, to move between spaces, to reveal new areas, to create that sense of discovery. Then, spawn artifact. You can bring objects into the world when they're needed and make them appear based on your actions. Collect objects. That satisfaction of gathering items, examining them, and building a collection of knowledge. And teleport. You can instantly move to different areas, or levels, or even civilizations, whatever you put in your world, which is especially useful in the large virtual spaces. Launch web page. You can seamlessly connect your 3D experience to external resources, websites, videos, or additional reading materials. Then sound cues. Audio feedback that guides exploration, signals discovery, or provides ambient atmosphere. Highlighting objects. Make important items stand out. You can draw attention to what matters and create visual emphasis. And there are many, many more possibilities. These are just building blocks. Simple on their own, but powerful when combined thoughtfully. You can create rich, engaging learning experiences with just these basic mechanics. And here we are in our game, finally. This is the templated 3D museum environment that Epic Games has provided for us. And this is the starting point of our project. So you can look at it, it's just a basis. All of these walls are modular walls. They're just made from pieces that can reuse them, shuffle them, and put them the way you like it. So we're gonna pass through this museum to show you some of the mechanics. All of these items that you see here, models, articles, paintings, they are all interchangeable. You can put your own models, meshes, photographs, videos, audio files, video files, whatever you want. So we're gonna start our tour, our virtual walkthrough. First we arrive to see that there is music going on. We can put audio cues. Proceed. There's a kind of a pickup animated. Then don't worry about these empty spheres. They are just put here so you can see what's going on. These are collision systems. That's how the models can interact with each other. So like a capsule on our character. Also, don't worry about our character of a robot. It's just a template robot. We can put our own. We'll see when you get to the course what we'll do with it. So it's just a pickup. You see it highlighted. Maybe you have a visual cue with it. We're going to proceed further. As I said, all of these artifacts, all of these texts, you can put your own and change them with it. You can do whatever you like with this model. So as we said, we can collect objects. So to further our knowledge, this is just an example like coins. You see there are coins here gathered. Proceeding further, there's a sort of door. What can we do about it? This empty square tells us it's a collision system. We can program it as we like, so it's opening the door. We're going to proceed. Here you can also spawn artifacts, as we said. Okay. Here is an example. Your clues. Maybe if you pick up 4 clues, then the doors open. So we're going to try this one here. Before the door opens, you can proceed further. It's another trigger platform. These trigger platforms, you can put them wherever you like. They can go in any directions you like. You see over up there on the top of our screen, there is a timer. So you can put a timer on as a sort of an assessment of learning. Here there is some kind of barrier. Okay, something, it can be destroyed. I'm gonna go up the stairs. And this is a teleport square. So we're gonna see what happens next. Okay, so we are in some environment. Also, our player has a flashlight as well that we can trigger, so we can know where we are. We're gonna proceed. There's some kind of trigger here on the floor. Okay, it's a great light. It's better not to use it. We're gonna proceed. Okay, so we are teleported in a completely different environment. So you see how you can teleport yourself wherever you like, wherever you design, and wherever you like your player to be. We're gonna just go explore a bit this museum. And we arrive at one widget that can turn on web pages for us. We'll see how it goes. And now, of course, a little advertisement, a little bit of commercial for us. This is the web page of our course, which you can explore, of course, linaedu.eu. We're gonna get back to the game, switching on our widget. This here is another way of triggering web pages by triggering a widget inside. We're gonna launch web page. Here you can see it opens an external browser. This is a Center of Excellence of 𝗵𝗺𝘆 County web page. This is the location of our course, so another little bit of advertisement. Back to the game. And now we're gonna finish the game. This was just for letting you see inside and have a sneak peek what kind of environments we can create with this. Game 1. Level completed. And it gets us back here. So we're gonna finish this game. This is a collaborative platform suitable for all learners, and I mean all. Students make their own design. They're not just consuming content, they're creating it. They're making decisions about what to include, how to present it, how to guide other learners through their creation. This ownership transforms the learning process. We are also exploring K2 partnerships. These are strategic educational partnerships that bring schools together across borders, allowing for collaborative projects and shared learning experiences. So there is tremendous potential for further development. What we're showing you today is just a beginning. It's just a small template we're starting from. This framework can evolve, expand, and adapt as we discover what works best in actual classroom settings. We're excited to announce that new courses are now available, also led by myself. First, we have the Learning Channel project. This one focuses on creating interactive multimedia educational series. Think of it as building your own educational YouTube channel on any subject, created by students and you, but with interactive elements, to put it simply. Then second one, designing the future classroom, pedagogy, play, and immersive technologies. This course digs into the theory and practice of transforming traditional classroom and designing a prototype and a digital version of a new playful, immersive learning environment. The third one, game-based learning in action, designing and engaging educational games for the classroom. This is a practical hands-on course where you actually build educational games. You can test them with students and then refine them based on real feedback. All of this is available through 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.eu. So, if this resonates with you, if you're excited about transforming how students learn, if you want to build these kinds of experiences yourself, if you're ready to bring immersive learning into your classroom, then apply now. And with that, thank you for your attention. I know we covered a lot of ground here, from theory to practice to game engines to AI tools. I hope this has at least sparked some ideas, challenged you a bit, and maybe inspired you to think differently about what's possible in education. If you have questions, I'd love to hear them. If you want to connect and discuss these ideas further, please reach out. And if you're ready to take the next step, you know where to find us, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.eu. Thank you. Ivana, back to you.
Thank you. Before we end this session, just few notes from me. Again, so we need to say that we really covered a lot today, and I hope your brain hasn't exploded yet. But okay, seriously, we hope you found the webinar key takeaways helpful. If you have any further questions, don't hesitate to contact us on our 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Erasmus+ socials. We have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and of course, mail that you can right now see on our slide, info@𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.eu. If you're looking to take your knowledge to the next level, as Gordan says, we invite you to check out our course that is about level up heritage in play, and the registration to that course is now open at our 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 website. Again, thank you so much for being active, for joining us today. We truly appreciate your participation and hope you leave with valuable insights that you can apply right away in your classrooms. And remember, of course, that next time you need a little extra help with the game design as learning tool, UDL, creative media tools, cultural heritage as a learning resource, and narrative medium, visual communication, spatial design in 3D, we are just one click away. So we are really looking forward to seeing you in our new sequel webinar that on writing Erasmus+ project application. We had the first one, I think it was 2 weeks ago. And this new sequel will be next week. I hope so, really hope so, on a Thursday. I'm going to announce it really soon, these 2 days. And be sure to register to that webinar if you are into some kind of planning your Erasmus+ application. We planned, my colleague Christina and I, we planned to do it. The scheme of that webinar would be, I don't know if you have some kind of ready written application to bring some kind of part of your application that you are really worried about. And we can, together, we can read it, share it together, and analyze it and help you with some kind of questions that you have about that part of application. And probably help you with our suggestions and ideas. So be sure to register to that webinar upcoming next week, and don't miss it. Don't miss it out. Other our valuable training sessions and training content that we really have for you, and we really gladly share with you. So visit 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Erasmus+ website, our socials for details and registration. Okay, so thank you once more. Really, really thankful for all your participation today. Okay, bye-bye, and stay
Thank you
well.
very much.
Yeah, stay safe.
Bye-bye.
And yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.